Hey guys, whoa, and our heads are really big. I forgot how podcasting works. It's been a couple weeks. I've been sick, super sick. Mike, I don't know if you've been getting sick. Everybody else is getting sick.
Sick as fuck.
Kids got sick. Kids at my kid's school got sick. Everybody's getting sick, and we're all.
I'm sick of this Red Wing team.
Yeah, who's sick of this bullshit recently? All right. First of all, Chewy's in the chat. What's going on, Chewy? Silver's aboard. What's going on,
Silver?
Jim Johnson. Absolutely. This is where we're going to drive all the conversation. You cannot blow games like the Wings did with Columbus. And
you can if you want to miss the playoffs and have a terrible draft pick.
Sneezy Wheezy, he was aboard early. Feeling negative about this team right now. Feels a lot like last year, except less kid-friendly.
I want some expansion on I want some expansion on the kid-friendly part. Matt, before we dive in,
is Sneezy Wheezy looking for an Edvinsson sighting? Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if he needs like more youth on the team. I mean, we do have the Dancing Bear, Bear Gryn himself. That's pretty good.
Hey, Dan got his book.
Nice.
Good to see. I always send that stuff out, and I'm terrified that you guys are never going to see it, and then you'll lose trust in us. But Mike, you wanted to. You were gonna, before we got too deep in all the negative conversation here. You were gonna ask me a question. It sounded like.
No, I guess this week The Athletic was really pushing an article about the Lions crossing the finish line from a maybe to hey, these guys are going to contend for a division. Pretty good feelings, Matt. I'm excited for everything off-season related for that football team.
Yeah, they have an offensive coordinator that probably turned down.
We have a desirable, offensive coordinator who we don't just employ one. We have one other teams want to like lead their whole team. But he said, no, I want to stay here. The reason I brought that up is I know it's a completely different sport, but by God, I wish the Red Wings could have a turnaround that seems that fast, where not only was it not just 2 seasons, it was a season and a half. And then in the second half of the second season, everything kind of quickly accelerated.
I thought you were going to say it's astonishing that the Detroit Lions coaching position is desirable. Like, when was the last time that's ever been talked about? I mean, that means if a coaching position is desirable, it'll be a desirable location for free agents as well. So it's looking up.
I don't know if Lalonde quite has that yet. I guess my question before we dive in completely is, do you think that this episode should be more small scale or like micro or macro, like about the future of this team? Because I mean, we can be upset about a couple rough losses in a row, but is it micro or macro that this current trend has you more concerned?
Well, let's get everybody's thoughts in the chat, because I think what you're asking is we're giving up the seasons. We're good, right? Like, okay, we've seen enough hockey. We are ready to get to the trade deadline and start seeing some future decision making, right? Some real decisions that are going to affect us long term, right? Is where you're headed, because there's no point in us saying like,
I would just say, like, I know we got to hit the agenda here in a minute, but just to put that little worm of doubt in your brain, the rumors are already coming in that teams are asking about Larkin.
Yeah, it's something that we've hinted at all season. I want to jump in the chat real quick just to say hi to some folks that haven't been here, or at least I felt like we haven't talked to in a while. Curtis, what's going on? Curtis is aboard. He's stealing Eric's gimmick.
God bless.
Mencia here. Jim throwing out there, I think Ned may come up from Grand Rapids. I gotta tell you, There isn't a lot that we're seeing from any of these goaltenders that's like, oh God, what if we lose them to waivers? So yeah, let's swing
Yeah,
these guys around. I'm totally cool with
Jim.
it.
I want to just real quick on that point too. Is Lalone was asked about last night's game, how he felt about it, and he basically said two of those saves, an NHL goalie should be expected to make. So yeah, I think you're right on the money. That I don't know. We love Magnus. We love saying that name. We love the pads. But come on, man, you got to give us more reason to keep you around.
Right.
And I don't think last night was one of those reasons.
Tristan's aboard. Tristan, it has
Tristan.
been a while. He throws out there. He's already started looking at the draft. The top 20 of this year is loaded. Mike, I believe it's also time for us to start looking at the draft. I think we're gonna have some weeks here where we'll come in and out, right? Like we still want to see what's going on with this team. We have the trade deadline to come in. We still have like Dylan Larkin analysis. Who knows? I mean, if we go through the trade deadline and we still have a Bertuzzi and a Dylan Larkin.
So I like Tristan's idea. My only problem is that I thought that this year we'd be looking at the 10 through 20 prospects, not potentially looking at the 1 through 10 or 1 through 5. My God, if these Larkin rumors, start really, gathering more smoke.
Silver 3344. It's an asset gathering year. Let's be honest. I'm ready. I think the question was asked for one of our Hockey Podcast Network brethren. It was I believe. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry if he listens. Ryan, I think from Grindline Podcast, threw that out there, and 60% of you, when asked, is this it? Is this the end of the season? Or are you still hanging on? 60% said, yeah, it's over. So I honestly, I'm surprised at the 40% that said, yeah, we're hanging on. There's still playoff hopes, and look, God bless you. I think the problem is deeper than just like this episode is titled "Detroit Red Wings Fall Deeper in the Standings," which, Mike, I gotta say, do you ever like, when you buy like a jersey for a player and you kind of like form a bond that they will know nothing about, right? But you want to see them do well. Same thing with like your fantasy football team. You draft a guy, you're secretly hoping he does well. If he plays against your team, but he scores a couple of, touchdowns, gets some baskets, scores some goals.
Let me tell you about Domantas Sabonis on the Sacramento Kings. Woo-hoo-hoo! But yeah, go ahead.
All right, but I'm about to bury myself here. I titled the episode last night. I was putting the notes together. Red Wings fall deeper in the standings. There was a little bit of me that was watching that game last night when we were going to overtime with the Coyotes, and I was like, you know what? This title's going to mean a lot more if we lose to the Coyotes. So I was kind of like, there's a silver lining specifically for only Matt. So yeah.
Ouch.
I'm sorry. I just I outed myself for where my priorities are at.
God.
Now others might argue the Red Wings have outed themselves as who they really are. They I don't know. I don't really want to land on that. I don't want to turn this conversation into like, I think we look at this team and we know there's more firepower than there was last year. We've seen Kubalik and Perron kind of, the flame's been, it hasn't been completely doused, but it's come back. Perron recently is kind of lit up again. But it's just the consistency's not there, and there isn't like that game in and game out. And those two names are great examples of guys who we know have upgraded this team significantly, talent-wise, production-wise. Like you saw it, they passed the eyeball test. But they're not the elite guys that turn you around.
They shouldn't be. Those are guys who should make your middle six have tons of depth and make it feel like you're an unstoppable juggernaut. Asking Kubalik, asking David Perron, to still be your top line guys. Still that word more applicable to Perron at 34. But I just mean this team is going to be at its best when those role players are in role playing positions. And I mean, having to count on those guys to act like it's reasonable to be asking, 30 goals apiece from those guys is not, I don't think that's a fair ask. I think 20 goals apiece for each of those guys is much more in their wheelhouse. This season is a little scary because when the players have commented on it, the coach has commented on it. If they give 100% effort, they can keep up with anybody. And if they don't show that, they can lose to the whole league. Like they don't have the top shelf talent. And, I don't know if that means you want to blame, Bertuzzi for not being a superstar. Taking a look at Verana, who's, getting scratched occasionally. He's got, 1 assist in 8 games for Grand Rapids. And this was a guy we thought start of the season, man, maybe he'll put in 40 goals this year,
Verana, I don't want to, that is such a unique situation. It's tough to judge it.
No, I'm just saying, we were expecting those guys to contribute and,
yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Without upper echelon top 6 talent, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, it is something that, it's not to say that we're looking to, I know the argument has been out there for the last few years, and people feel very strongly one way or the other. This isn't a comment on Dylan Larkin doesn't fit as a 1C. This is a comment that you don't have, you don't fill out your top 6 with one person. But certainly I think it's fair to say that we don't have that elite show-stopping goal scorer. So you need a Dylan Larkin in your top 6, but we just don't. I mean, we saw it happen. I mean, we see it happen across the league, but we see it happen just with I hate to say it because Laine's not the guy you want to land on for this argument, but that guy turned into the show-stopping goal scoring forward, at least against us. So there's that example. But of course, I mean, normally what you're talking about are the Austin Matthews. Now, did the Toronto Maple Leafs have a bunch of cups? No, but the Boston Bruins, who have David Pastrnak, are well on their way, and they're all fighting at the top of the standings. The teams that have the Kucherovs, the teams that have the Pasternaks, the teams. So it's not like we're talking about only Connor McDavid, who happens to be struggling. So it's a combined, formula. It's not just one guy does it. There's a lot of things that have to go right. But I don't know if you're going to get... Mike, I'm going to use this because you like to reference basketball all the time. I don't know if in hockey you're going to be able to 2004 Detroit Pistons it. I mean, think about the Avalanche winning last year, too. I mean, one of the greatest defenseman performances in the playoffs ever last year is what it took to get the Colorado Avalanche a Stanley Cup. And Cale Makar, who will do this for years to come, but he also has Nathan McKinnon, who dogged Andrew Copp a couple days ago, spun him drilled him right into the ice, and then went on to score a breakaway goal.
Yeah. Thoughtful, because it is actually ice fishing season, just about. So very appreciative of that to Mr. Copp. Yeah, I mean, when it's times like these, you could turn to superstars, and they're that much better than everybody else on the ice. We just don't have that. So that's is as many savvy moves as Yzerman makes. I mean, those are all going to be on the peripheral, and we love David Perron, but he's got to absolutely hit a home run with either a free agent or a trade for a top 6 guy. That's really probably what's going to make or break this team on whether or not they actually make playoffs and win playoff series. And I hope they're putting out a product out there that looks sexy and enticing to other teams. I don't know if we have that. Just because it looks like there are a lot of spots we got to fill up, Matt.
I mean, this is always crazy to me. I love sharing this, and how are we in the bottom 4 in projected cap hit for the season still. Like, I know we have big contracts coming up. Seider and Lucas Raymond will get paid in a couple years, and it's just like that's a huge difference right there. There's teams that are spending, a considerable amount more, and they're the ones, except for the Canadians there, but they're the ones that for the last few years have been fighting in and out. Of course, some exceptions up here. Vancouver, we don't know what the hell they're doing, which of course we could come back to and talk about how they've
And I
asked
mean,
for players like Tyler Bertuzzi recently in their press conference.
and lest we
Flyers, of
forget
course,
that
are an exception.
we invested about $9 million in cap money towards Chiarot and Copp. So that number should be better, but unfortunately, we're going to be eating that for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I feel like I did want to bring this up, and whoever's watching on YouTube probably saw the highlight on here. I did highlight because I started sorting from the last month. You could see from December 16th to January 16th. I was trying to figure out like what's going wrong with this team, and I keep mentioning like getting some more top six forward help, and I wasn't even going to talk about Soderblom, who actually walks away in the last month with our best expected goals for percentage. A lot of that has to do with getting started in the offensive zone, so it's fair. I guess it's fair to ignore it, but there's a guy that's relied upon in our top six, and we've been kind of, I will say, the more and more I see these conversations happening online, the more I wonder like what I'm missing. But from an analytics perspective here, Mr. Andrew Copp, this is giving him 2 months of buffer. And like we've all talked about, it might take a whole season for Andrew Copp to recover. But he's still in the top six. And I don't know if a team that is saying, again, if Andrew Copp is completely handicapped by this core injury, then that should say it all right there, that we're still putting him in the top six night in and night out in the lineup. But his expected goals for percentage, and we could talk about 39.24, but it's third worst on the team. Of course, this is hilarious. Robbie Fabry is the worst so far. But also his expected goals against per 60. Actually, I'm just going to scan this real quick here. He's third on the team, and we have crowned him our two-way forward, our defensive forward. Now, what's the asterisk that goes along with this, Mike? He starts in the defensive zone 60% of the time. But so does a guy like Moritz Seider, who's considerably higher in his expected goals for percentage. Like, you have your guys that are required to start in the defensive zone, and I think what we're seeing here is a couple of chances we'll get on net, and then we can transition out of the zone, which is just not cutting it. And again, if we want to say it's the core, that's fine. Maybe he shouldn't be on the ice eating up all those minutes. But I however you want to dice it, this is an issue for me that you're one of your top six forwards. Again, maybe he has to drag around guys. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but this has been consistent. And throughout the season, if you pulled this for the full season, he's actually dead last. But I decided to see what was going on in just the last month because, again, the core injury was significant. But it hasn't really improved. And it's far and away like a tough expected goals against per 60 to digest here at 3 goals. Essentially, if he played 60 minutes, he'd give up 3. And we've also all said, well, he's not a goal scorer because he's a two-way forward. Okay, that's fine. So we will expect significantly less offense from him, according to that argument. But I would hope that there would be significantly less defense. And statistically, it's not there. So while I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this team, a guy who is asked to play a significant role on this team, statistically, his numbers show that it's not benefiting us while he's on the ice. More chances against. And not just more chances against, the third worst on the team. So
yeah, it can be if there's anything more difficult than figuring out somebody's defensive value in baseball, it's somebody's complete impact on an ice rink. But I feel like we have enough deep cut numbers with Copp to say that this has been a disappointing season. And then on the eyeball test, it doesn't give you a lot of confidence that you're about to see a goal go in, or necessarily that you're going to see a successful stop. And the reason that I put them together is because I know that at every chance you like to besmirch the good name of Robbie Fabry, one of Yzerman's boys, who he signed for another. I think we got 3 more Fabry years after this season. And yeah, I can't really argue with these numbers. It's obviously a very, very tiny sample size. He's not been back for very long. But at the very least, I think you can comfortably say that he's still an energy guy that you can count on, and he's in the scrum of the play. He did help and take a punishing hit yesterday before he set up a Suter goal. I at least can see why I'm going to call this almost like an old school scout. Why an old school scout could say, I want to have a Fabry on my team. I can see the glimmers of value. But Copp, he's really, really making it tough this season. It's definitely been disappointing.
Yeah, and again, this isn't to say that there's like no hope for this, but I think if we're trying to connect the dots, like I think that's part of the conversation here. I don't know if it's worthwhile to keep saying like, oh, but the core injury. That's not necessarily the argument I'm making. Is that there's no hope for Copp. I think it's fair to say though at this point, with for what we brought him in and what we're counting on him to do, statistically it's not there right now, and I'm pretty cool with saying that. I'm okay with that.
No, I mean, a core injury is horrible. I mean, it transcends, like in baseball, you can't swing. Football, you can't throw. One of my favorite players, basketball, Lillard, had that, and it literally took like 10 points per game off his average. It's just, and he shut it down for months. So yeah, I mean, no joke. That's got to be tough for Copp, but I mean, unless it's still lingering effects, and I know hockey players are not real humans, like they just soldier on through pain. I don't know if they have to have a discussion with them. Be like, hey, do you need a break? Do you need a blow? Because this is really it's not great, Bob. Do we have a few comments on the show?
We accidentally missed like 10 minutes of comments here, so I apologize, everybody. So we do know Jim is going to the game in Vancouver. I have no idea what the Wings will look like when I see them in Vancouver. Like I just mentioned, there was that press conference with Vancouver. We don't know if maybe there'll be some Wings and Canucks swapping. Again, I believe it's Rutherford for the Canucks. Mike made this comment. He's like, we're retooling. So we don't want to trade our stars for draft picks. We want to trade for guys that have made it through their ELC.
So the one kind of weird rumor I saw that didn't make a lot of sense, I think it was Horvat for Hronek. And that would be a really tough move for me because he's been so much better, this season. Like somebody could count on special teams, and his 5-on-5 plays pretty good.
Yeah, he's still. I totally agree. He still had his moments this year where you're like, hey, that's the Hronek from last year. What happened to the guy with the stash? But
he does need to bring that stash back. Yeah,
for sure. If Larks gets traded, this is Tristan. I trust Yzerman to get an absolute haul for him. That being said, I obviously want to keep him here. Tristan, you know what? That's an interesting conversation. I also agree that I want to keep him here. What kind of haul? Mike, you are trading Dylan Larkin. It's happening. Is this 2 first-round picks?
I got to tell you, if you're trading Larkin, even though this is a contract year, you got to get a monster. I'm talking like 4 firsts, because you're going to be trading him to a team that's now getting a top-line center, and they're going to be so good, those draft picks are going to be trash. So I don't even know what the value of those firsts are. Like, you would absolutely have to include young people. Like, prospect, like top prospects. I can't take the 25th, 26th, 23rd, first rounder. That is not. That
Yeah,
is setting this team back so far. It's hard to stomach.
you almost have to have the conversation with yourself. Like, are we just going to trade for like similar talent? Like, if this is like the whole Horvat conversation, like if you're talking about moving him to just a different space, but even then, like you'd rather keep the guy you've been building yourself and you've been building a relationship with. So I like there you would have to win the Horvat trade with like something added on top kind of thing, I
If this team
what if it
moves,
was
if this
Dylan
team moves
Larkin for
Larkin, that
Quinn
adds like 8
Hughes?
years to the rebuild.
What if it's Dylan Larkin for Quinn Hughes? And then the Canucks know they're going to lose Horvat in the offseason. They try and trade him. And they're also doing their silly little retool rebuild. So they want Quinn Hughes. They want to give us Quinn Hughes, and we'll take Dylan Larkin. I don't know. I find it tough to like jump in and say absolutely not. I want to think about it. That's my answer. I'd want to think about it.
What about
Am I
Horvat
bad?
and how about Horvat and Pettersson?
I think Pettersson is the one guy they're not going to move.
Damn it!
I know. Yeah, if we
Give
want
me give me for Larks
Larkin
for Larks and Bertuzzi.
Yeah, I was interested if we were going to get Bertuzzi into these trade conversations. Okay, here we go. Let's start this over because we were looking at some of the comments and I immediately got distracted. Matt B, I wouldn't mind seeing Bertuzzi gone at the deadline and Larkin too if he's going to be greedy.
Okay. Greedy? Can I jump on that, please?
Yeah.
Listen, they have treated this poor bastard like crap for what, 5 years now? Look, we're not going to surround you with a team. We're going to give you a lot of coaches who make Muppet face. And yeah, hopefully you can be the only person that we feel we can count on offensively, arguably defensively, all three facets of the game. And yeah, we're going to bring in Andrew Copp to back you up and Ben Chiarot and eat up a lot of cap space so that we can't bring in any good players. How do you feel about that? I feel like you have to be the opposite. There's no way he's being greedy. I think he's like, dude, you have to show. I need to show I need some self-respect. I can't stay here and take a hometown discount. That like, you owe me for what you've done these past couple seasons. This is embarrassing. This town was supposed to be centered around hockey, and now it's just gives you indigestion to watch this product sometimes. No, I don't think he's greedy. I think you're going to have to overpay to keep him. And I just mean market-wise, statistically, because he's only barely a point a game guy. You don't want to be spending, 10 mil a season on him. But man, if you let him go, woo, there is a huge void on this team, leadership-wise, point-wise, defensive-wise, locker room-wise. That is a giant hole. I feel like you kind of got to give him a reward contract at this point. I don't think he's being greedy by not having a contract done yet. I got to say it's the opposite. The Red Wings have been very greedy and selfish and not really helped this guy out. As far as a Detroit injustice, it would be up there with, Calvin Johnson.
Did you see the
Lions? Go ahead.
Did you see the Dom Luszczyszyn player cards?
No.
So for everybody watching on YouTube, we can blow this up a little bit here. One of the things that Dom does is he does provide a market value, and basically what he's saying for every team is what's the surplus value you're getting. He does based statistically, and this is over the last 3 years, so we know over the last couple years, Dylan's really gone into beast mode and D-boss mode, as I like to put it. But the market value is at $8.5 million right now.
No, I think he's at $8.5 million based on his stats. I don't think there's any arguing that. I'm basically adding another, $1.5 million a year as an apology for how terribly we've constructed this team to actually win. He's not even able to lose playoff series. He's not even in the playoffs.
Right, and I'm not challenging your way of thinking. I'm just wondering if now that since we have like a statistic to start with, if we wanted to adjust, because I know we were talking like I landed on 9.5, so now I'm gonna be I'm overpaying just like you're saying. Is that still where you want to land, considering there's somebody who did the math for us?
Yeah, I mean 9.5's a little bit more conservative. I think 10 is probably what his agent should ask for, and he should just show up year by year statistics of the Red Wings win-loss record.
I do have to say that puts then he'll be 36, still getting paid $10 million a year.
I didn't say a 10-year deal. I did say 10 mil per.
Wait, did I do that math right? I did not. He'll be 35.
Can I pay him up to the David Perron part of his career? And then think about it and then reassess. Not that I don't want him, but I want to reassess.
This is we have like a half hour worth of comments that we have to go through. We need
see if we can pepper a few in there.
Our hot takes are about 10 minutes long for each one of these comments. Silver thrown out there. If Yzerman is to be criticized on anything, it's contract amounts given out so far. Too generous for what he's gotten in return, aside from Kubalik. So that's actually interesting too, because if we could pull this right back up, you've got surplus value on Larkin, of course Lucas, and that's going to go away pretty soon. Perron got a little bit more surplus there. Tyler, just a smidgen. Again, his contract's up, as we all know. Berggren.
Hey, the dancing surplus. Bear. I like it.
Copp.
Ooh, not good. Perfect profile photo for that ranking there. Just kind of a sad Muppet face.
Kubalik, surplus $1.2 million. And again, don't forget, like, we know how great Kubalik's been, especially at the start of this season, but this is 3 years. Puce in the negative, Zadina deep in the negative, Rasmussen right up there, just a little extra surplus. Fabry in the negative, Mike.
That one's a little tough because you can't even count. Whatever. Go ahead. I don't want to. Can't make this another Fabry episode. I'm good. I'm good.
We're only counting what he did. We're not over counting anything.
All right.
Jesus. Sonny negative. Seider, just barely.
Woo.
His market value right now, $1.5 million. Again, according to Dom Luschizin, so we're saying from an advanced analytics perspective. Hronek, surplus value, $4.8 million.
You know what, though? If you linger on that, I see the stash in that picture. So you keep that stash up. That's a $9 million a season guy.
Yeah. You almost want to call this an inaccurate data table because of the stash. Ben Chiarot, Mike. Market value. Oh, no. Minimum.
Woo.
Negative $6.8 million.
Wow.
Oli Mata, still in the negative, but that's, of course, taking into consideration the last 3 seasons. Osterley in the negative. Walman, killing it, my man.
Good job. I like it.
Let's extend Walman. Husso in the negative. Nedeljkovic deep in the negative. He's actually worth, like, he's at league minimum. His surplus value is negative $5 million right now. Yikes.
Remember when we were concerned that when he was put on waivers, somebody would pick him up?
I mean, I'm not giving up on Nedeljkovic. That's
me neither. That's a lot of money to eat if he's going to be, in the minors.
True. All right, guys, we will be right back. We'll reset and we'll get back into.
Keep chopping at the bit at those comments because we're excited to get to them here in a second.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I think the rest of this episode is us just trying to finish up going through all these comments. So I'll figure out where I left off.
Without further ado,
we'll be right back. NFL playoff action continues. We're one step closer to the Super Bowl 57 and for the NFL division round. Check out DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly.
Plus, all new and existing customers can take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Boost your NFL winnings with each leg. You add up to 100%. All right, I don't know about you guys. It's going to be pretty tough to find anybody that can take down San Fran. So if you want to use that little bit of knowledge, I don't know, you can. You don't have to. We're not telling you to bet. Just have fun with DraftKings. Download this DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL divisional round and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
All right, we are back. We got to dive into those comments.
Yeah, Bradley threw one out there. I really don't doubt Lark stays. Yzerman really likes him. I wanted to point this out, and then Bradley says Larkin and Burt are going to stay. And there's some other comments tied to this I want to come to. But Bradley says Yzerman really likes him. I don't know if I could put a finger on what Steve is ever thinking. Ever. So I don't know if I could confidently say that he likes Larkin.
The only thing I know that
You know
Steve
what I mean?
likes is mystery.
Yeah.
But Bradley, I don't think you're wrong about that assessment. You know, obviously I agree with Matt too that we don't know anything about really Yzerman ever gives us a straight answer, but I think he understands the value of Larkin. But I'm also a little curious to see how he negotiates this deal. And again, the point that I think is harder is to try and make Larkin happy, because he's going to have a ton of suitors. There's not a lot of top centers going on the market, and wherever he goes, you're going to go up a level. So I think that's the harder side of the equation. I don't think for a second the Red Wings are like, bye, we'll find another way to replace you, Larks. That's an incredible hole that you'd have to fill. So I think there's more pressure on the Red Wings side than there is, Larkin, whether or not he wants to stay here.
Dan B throws out there, please name me another center who plays on a team as lacking of talent as the Red Wings, who you want over Larkin. That, I think, right to your point is why I pulled up that comment.
Yeah.
It is really tough to figure out, like, how, I mean, like, we started this conversation about trying to fill out a top six, and we love Larkin. We've labeled him as a 1C over and over and over and over, but that doesn't mean that you have Kucherov. You know what I mean? Like, we know we want Larkin to be the center that takes us into the playoffs. We also know, Mike, as you said today, you gotta tell Larkin that you believe in him. And if that happens with a contract number, and if that's what he needs, then that's what you got to do. Because I think there's so, like, that's not to say that you can't have a trade conversation about Dylan Larkin. Mike, your official stance right now on Dylan Larkin, keep him or let him go. We'll just get this out of the way.
You absolutely have to keep him. I don't think you'll lose whatever trade you try to do. Sorry.
Right. And I'm on the same boat. You absolutely got to do whatever you got to do to keep him. So that's just to say any conversation about trying to find that next level guy means that this is just that added bonus for Larkin. It's that thing that's we'll see, like, Larkin become the captain, like he'll be surrounded by exactly what he needs. I mean, we can't forget, we're all Red Wings fans. It's not like Steve Yzerman carried that team by himself. He was the leader.
Yeah, he had like 12 Hall of Famers with him.
Exactly. Now, can you do a 12 Hall of Famer team again? I mean,
well, he made some shrewd draft picks of the 4th round with Red Savage. Like, come on, you need some Hall of Famers, man. Or upper echelon talent. That's the thesis of this episode. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Red could be. We don't want to say. We're just
maybe.
Let's just stop getting. I think the difference makers aren't necessarily all going to come from the draft, or like let me take that statement back. It's very possible they come from the draft. I think we just need to start like being more realistic that every guy that we do draft isn't necessarily going to become a superstar because he did a deke in college hockey and put one in the back of the net. All right, now this is what I've been saying for I think the last couple of months, so I'm on board with you here, Jim. Jim says you never know. Stevie could sign Larkin at the last minute like he did with Stamkos. Now, when I first decided to adopt this take, I was stealing it from Elliot Friedman, who made the comment. This is, of course, when he was talking about how quickly he thought the Red Wings would actually trade David Perron because his trade value is so high earlier in the season. But then he was asked about Dylan Larkin's contract, and he said, Dylan's not going anywhere. Like, this is just how Steve Yzerman does it. We're not going to get any read on him until you're reading in the newspaper the next morning that Dylan Larkin has signed the contract. And again, like I said, I've adopted this take. I think we are going up to the wire, and Dylan Larkin will sign right before free agency, just like Mr. Stamkos. I think we all remember that day because I was very, 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 very sad because I thought Stammer was coming over to give us a couple more years of playoff hopes, but didn't happen. Anyway, the point being, we don't like going back to Bradley that said, Yzerman really likes him. I can't say yay or nay on that, but we can say Yzerman has a track record on what to do with his superstar forwards when he knows it's important to keep them, and it's a tough contract that he's got to take care of. So I mean, down the line, you're going to have contracts with the likes of Seider where it's going to be a blank check sort of situation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm trying not to keep repeating myself, but I
do it.
These points about the eyeballing each other across the room, like, hey, handsome, hi, pretty boy. Like, I know that he likes being here. I know that it's probably a lot easier for him to just keep living in Michigan and going to work in Michigan. I don't think the fans of our show are saying this, but I just don't want to take it for granted that he has that hometown relationship. I just don't want to hear about a hometown discount. I think that this guy has earned a pretty substantial raise. I think he's earned being paid like a top player in the NHL. And then outside of that, I think that he's earned this team management wise taking some more chances to try and make them competitive. And I don't think that means signing, a 28-year-old, career second, third line, mostly defensive center, or a, 30-plus-year-old defenseman that nobody's really given a lot of value to because he's statistically never done it before. And then when you sign him to a 4-year deal, he's not very good. Those aren't the risks I'm talking about. It would have to be, is this the offseason we look at signing a guy who's also worth about $10 million a season, trading first-round picks, because we could use some good win-now players, for some teams that are supposedly further down the totem pole rebuild-wise. Those are the risks I'm talking about, like trading firsts for now talent, that kind of trade, signing a big-time free agent. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, you're not going to like what Tristan was hoping we'd take a peek at.
Oh, boy. Draft prospects?
Tristan, New York Islanders acquired Dylan Larkin,
Jesus.
2024 second-round pick. Detroit acquires 2023 first-round pick, Atu Ratu, and Anthony Beauvillier. Sorry, I always struggle with that name.
Now, I had a fetish for Atu for a long time, but Matt, I don't know Anthony. I'm sorry.
So, my boy, what are we looking at right now? 5'11", 181 pounds. He's 25. Let's just run down the last couple of years here. So, Where's his first season? 16-17, he played 66 games, 24 points, 36 points, 28 points, 39, 28, 34, and 18 so far this year.
Can I say the word whelmed?
Right.
How about no?
Yeah, Tristan, that definitely goes
That's
against
a wild
Mike's
undersell. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a wild undersell, I think. You would not be giving up a second round pick, and you'd be getting a couple more firsts. How about no?
Yeah. I don't know, Tristan. That one, like, there's pieces to it, but yeah, there's got to be a lot more there.
Yeah. We'll keep spitballing that one.
There was some other comments. I took so long to find Tristan's trade, so I'm sorry there, Tristan. We missed it a while ago. Blake throws out there, he loves goalies who swallow pucks. Well, Blake, they all wear headgear. They all have a mask on. It's gonna be.
I don't know
tough.
if he means like we had a couple goals that were kind of pinball carom goals.
As a rebound.
Yeah, I was talking about, we were joking before the show about, would you rather have Simon Edvinsson or Dylan Gunther? Just because Gunther's already in the NHL, and he's got a couple goals to his name. But he got super duper lucky on that pinball carom. Just kind of fell right in his face, and then he got to slap in a wide open net. But yeah, I feel like Husso is pretty good at absorbing. Am I wrong on that one?
No, I'm a fan of Husso. I think what we saw. This is what sucks. We're playing the same game we played with the Nedeljkovic last year. You know what I mean? I mean, we went 2.5 months of great hockey, and then things just kind of fell apart. And I don't know. Do we have just 2 backup goaltenders? Of course, Ned kind of proved to us so far this season.
We have 3 backup goaltenders. Oh. Is
Yeah,
that what you were going for?
No. Because we do have 3 backup goaltenders, maybe. But yeah, Husso right now, it's definitely falling apart, and we saw the same thing at the same point last year. Like where we were in December saying, "Man, could you imagine if Nedeljkovic wasn't leading the league in goals saved above expected?" And now
it's because it's emotional. When this team, when they were hot, it's because we talked about it a little bit earlier. They were all giving 100% effort. We weren't completely killed by injuries, and you just play a little bit harder. Your passes are a little bit crisper. You see the saves a little bit easier. The defensive coverage comes out a little bit cleaner, but because you have that extra burst of energy. But god damn, when you start losing a couple games in a row, and you're like, this is the same shit as the past couple seasons. It's just I can't not stop making this point. Like, it's going to be about getting a couple of elite players in here, like, to play with Larkin.
Yeah.
It's going to be that, because they're going to be able to carry you. They're going to be able to give you that burst, because they're going to be able to do things and make them look easier. I think they're fine. I think they figured out depth. I think they figured out good depth players, but yeah, this team needs to take some risks, management-wise, roster-wise.
I mean, when you look at the standings, there are teams like Carolina, Dallas, and Winnipeg come to mind where you don't have like the straight up Pasternak to look at and say there's your super duper star. You know what I mean? I mean, they have elite players, but there isn't like the, for sure, Toronto, obviously, Austin Matthews, you have the Mitch Marners. Even New Jersey this year with Hughes kind of having his coming out party, even though that kind of happened last year. But
I mean, aren't we going to be, are we going to be flirting with the idea of Pierre-Luc Dubois? I mean, it's not like Winnipeg is like completely devoid. I mean, Perfetti, Wheeler, Connor.
No, yeah, they're not void. Like I said, they have elite talent.
Sam Gagne.
Yeah, of course.
Gags. Good old Gags. Not to mention Hellebuck. I mean,
yeah, it's so tough to like put a finger on like what is the formula, but I mean, you can just go back and look at the Stanley Cup winners and talk about the Pittsburghs in their day. We know what they look like. Damn it all to hell, the Chicagos. I mean, and then we've been watching Tampa kill it. The Avs just decided last year like everything was coming together. Finally, they weren't going to blow it in the playoffs, and they were going to go and win a Stanley Cup. I don't know. Maybe you could point to like a St. Louis that was focused more defensively, and I mean Ryan O'Reilly's an amazing hockey player, but that wasn't in his playoff performance. Certainly deserved a Conn Smythe when the St. Louis Blues won the cup, but it wasn't. It's not like I don't put Ryan O'Reilly and Austin Matthews in that same conversation. So I guess I'm just trying to make the point. It is possible to like build a different way than to have your MVP candidate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so frustrating to like look at Winnipeg, and they're not world beaters by any means, but I mean they're top 4 points guys would all lead the Red Wings. They're top 4.
Yeah,
and
no,
like
you're right. You're right.
Handily. So I don't know. They just need some more top level guys. Did you have a few more comments you want to take a look at?
Tristan did have one in here. Of course, Bushelnikov, who we've brought up a couple of times. He's actually back in the conversation because Verana being scratched in Grand Rapids, Anthony Mantha was a scratch. So you look at the other two pieces that were moved, and you're talking about the first-round pick and a second-round pick that Detroit got, and Bushelnikov is one of those pickups. So that's a guy who's done quite well. Is it not the KHL, but like the VHL, I think, if I am remembering correctly. And I do apologize there. There's somebody that's tearing their hair out right now because I don't remember the step-down league of the KHL, the Russian league. But, yeah, the kid has hands. It's just, like, I wanted to bring this up because it's like, Tristan, this is a great point. This is a kid that you do want to get excited about, but it also isn't, like, undeniable. You know what I mean? Like, it's an undeniable fact that we want to get to that point. This guy in the top 6, we can count on him. These are the moments that you want to turn on the game and get excited. There was another point, too, that, like, we loved our first line the last couple of years statistically, like from an advanced analytics perspective.
Well, specifically last season, right? With Lucas, Bertuzzi, and Larkin.
Yeah, and Jim brought up a good point, too. Bert's injuries are starting to catch up with him. I'm wondering, number one, this is absolutely going to... the Bert's season this year is killing his contract opportunity.
Yeah, you couldn't have picked a worse time, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get out there, you got to get that bag, son. Start lighting that lamp, bro.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The timing was terrible for Tyler. I think the market value right now for Tyler is $5.4 million, according to Dom Luszczyzn. But man, does that look like a guy who? I mean, the turnovers have just been rampant anytime he's back on the ice, and I wonder too if he keeps getting rushed back because when he has come back now the second time, it is just a different Tyler Bertuzzi. And I think we saw a flash of a better looking Tyler Bertuzzi when he was going headfirst into the net a couple of games ago. But yeah, there's still, even when he's playing aggressive and kicking his leg out, like I shared on Twitter, there's still some of the easy mistakes are being made. And
yeah, and
I know he's
I know he's not a defenseman, but he looked pretty rough on that third goal yesterday too.
Yeah. Tristan, Dom is full of it. No, he's just running tables. He's not. There's no
tables. Yeah.
No, but what does he do, Mike? Tables. I like Sneezy Weezy is calling out. According to Dom, Mo is only going to cost 1.5 per year. Lol.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a perfect system, but it's a tool to help you figure out, what's going on there. Okay. I got to admit, like I'm sweating right now because we had to record tonight because we've had a terrible
that happens
string of like consistency.
So now you're just out of shape. Like we got to get you back into recording shape.
But I have a terrible sore throat right now, and I could actually feel the beads of sweat coming down my head because I think I'm just getting sick again.
Matt, that's not sweat. That's the new 4-pack of Two-Hearted IPA blends. I don't know if you've seen those. I'm very excited to try those on the show.
Yes, this is a nice little comment I liked. Blake threw out there, we have too many third line centers. I saw
Oh,
earlier.
got him.
I saw earlier the mention we have too many third pair defensemen. One thing I think
We lead the league in third line centers, Blake. We're cooking.
We do have one positive thing to discuss recently.
Oh yeah, the Walman.
Yeah, the replacement of Ben Chiarot on the first pair. That's how long we've been out. Walman has taken.
I like that there was all those
storm.
articles written about we've Seider finally turning a corner. Yeah, because he's playing with a real hockey player now.
And so complimentary. Like the ridiculousness that Seider can't be Seider if he doesn't have a big bruiser next to him. And Jake Walman comes into play, who's very aggressive. He's more like the junkyard dog. He's smaller than Ben Chiarot. But oh my God, having that guy who's going to wheel around and get a shot off, new NHL. Right there. Anybody that is still like, we need guys that can put up their dukes and who could play physical. New NHL right here, guys. Working. Jake Walman making Seider better.
Has Walman been so good that Yzerman should come out and give a public apology for signing Chiarot? And slowing the growth in Mo Seider's career.
I mean,
both of those things.
Doesn't it suck that you figure you've got 4 years of Chiarot, you've got a Walman who stepped up, and you're still looking to fit in Albert Johansson and Simon Edmondson into this lineup. And it's like there was the point that Jim made earlier. It was like the issue is like these contracts are too long and there's too much money he's throwing around. Like it would have been fine to have Ben Chiarot, but
I don't think it's the length though, because the way the NHL contracts usually come in, these bozos are signing mortgages, 7-10-year deals. I don't think that 4 and 5 those. I think at the start of the season we were like, okay, those are pretty reasonable lengths. The problem is who they pick to give it to. If in this NHL, if you can get guys for 4 years, woo! I don't know what kind of voodoo you're doing in that negotiating room. It's just that we picked the wrong people.
Hey, Tristan's got some good news.
Hey,
scored tonight. So now we're only a couple.
That is big news. That's his first goal in 9 Grand Rapids games. That's good.
Yeah, that's huge. I guess the night before, or no, this was on Monday. He had odd man rush, went slap shot, which is Verana knowing exactly what he does best. Didn't go in, but that was labeled as like McIntyre, I think, was the goalie for the Griffins' opponent, and that was labeled as one of his top saves of the night, which I think the game ended 2-1. Of course, that's me reading a game recap. I did not watch that game. But yeah, it's good to see Verana getting a rip, finding space to get open on Monday, and now Verana getting a goal tonight. I'm very interested to see what that highlight looks like. Here's Jim again. We have too many third pair D. So yeah, you've got your Osterley, your Lindströms that just will not be a part of this team. I mean, moving forward, the Chiarots, and I can't for the life of me get too thrilled about Olli Maatta because things haven't really been consistent as we've moved forward. I think maybe we crowned him as like the saving grace for our defense a little too quickly.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not
that's
terrible.
A guy. Yeah, that was a guy who's playing with Hronek, the $9 million man. So,
and to the point of having too many third pair D. I mean, when we set up our lineups, we were all putting him on the third pair. So it's not like we could come back to the Olli Maatta conversation here and be like, look, Olli Maatta's good.
Real good.
He's a real good third pair defenseman.
I mean, real good.
So yeah, that leaves us with Hronek, who we traded away earlier in the comments. I don't know if you remember that, Mike. Mo Seider and Jake Walman. So we've got 3 defensemen. Feels pretty.
That's all you need. It's all you need to be a bottom 3rd team in this league,
Yeah, Jared throws out there. This is the key to everything. Hronek needs that stash back.
If he does, and they go on a 5-game winning streak, I mean, he can never shave it again.
Right. I think teams should lean into those types of superstitions more. I think it's good TV, it's good marketing, you know, and it's just good fun.
If was it Bull Durham when they made that conclusion that if you think that wearing ladies' undergarments makes
Oh my
you
God,
a
you're
better
right.
pitcher, then it does make you a better pitcher? And it's like, dude, if growing that mustache, you were like the best version of yourself ever. Why wouldn't you just keep the mustache?
I, I don't know. So what did he did it for Movember, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. You can keep that going.
yeah, I would bring it back immediately.
I have a bunch of friends at work that are very excited about their participation in Dry January. And talk about it all the time. And it's just like, I got kids, so it's like Dry January, Dry February, Dry March, Dry April. So,
Oh, I got kids. I got wet
no, you can't.
January, wet
No, you
February,
can't get
soak in
wasted at night.
March. Yeah, drenched April. You know.
Blake throws out there Major League. That I was thinking Major League 2, not Major League 2, TOO, but it was Nuke that had the ladies' underwear to get his mind unfocused, and it was Major League where they all, I think, no, it was The Natural where they all put lightning bolts on their jersey. We're mixing up the only 3 baseball movies you guys ever need to worry about: Bull Durham, The Natural, and Major League. How would you rank those, Mike?
I think a lot of people would be upset we didn't say The Sandlot, but
I've never watched it.
Probably in that order: Bull Durham, Major League, and what was the third one?
The Natural.
There you go.
So that one's not.
I mean, it's got cool moments, but yeah, I like the other 2 a lot better. Anyway, we're pushing an hour here.
Yeah,
Was there any last
go.
points we were going to try and touch on?
All right. Hronik needs his beard back. Dylan Larkin needs a contract, but I think we're waiting till after we decide who his Stanley Cup champion is. Not that matters, but I think Steve's just playing hardball. How else do we wrap up this show? Jake Walman's the man. Chiarot is a big bag of garbage. And
you took me back to the 1998 hit, Liar Liar. You want to play hardball? I'm game.
But yeah, I think it's time we wrap up, guys. Matt's actually getting the chills now. So
getting the John Travolta's over there. Yeah, I like it.
If you guys could hit that like button real quick, I greatly appreciate it. And we'll be back with you guys next week. We'll watch some more hockey, see what happens. And
luckily the Yotes aren't on the schedule again.
Good God. Don't. Yeah, maybe we'll go back into the,
hopefully you guys DVR'd that Toronto game. Just watch that again.
Yeah, we'll do another micro dissection of what's going on with the Red Wings next week. So come prepared with your highlights, ladies and gentlemen. All right. See, now Jared throws out there right before we go, glad to see Mike didn't die from the flu. I had the flu. Me. Mike was perfectly fine, and I'm getting sick again, damn it. All right, good night, everybody.
Jared, I appreciate the sentiment. All right,
God damn it.